Hi, my name is Claire McCarroll, and I am a Maritimer that loves tall tales and I love storytelling. And so I've created this portal for us to connect great stories with great storytellers. So I hope you do enjoy. And what follows, I'm going to just recount one of my favorite stories I've heard in the Maritime. So hopefully then you can record your own videos of you telling your favorite stories and upload them here. So, one of my favorite stories that I've heard in the Maritimes took place back in the late 50s and early 60s off the coast of Yarmouth around Wedgeport on the Evangeline Trail. And this story has to do with the Cold War. It has to do with setting up a micronation. It has to do with that golden age of tourism when all of the wealthy New Englanders were coming with their money to our region. And so it's a real great one. So let's get started. There was a guy by the name of Arndel, and he was kind of a big wig lobbyist down in Washington. And he and his friends would come to Wedgeport every single year to go fishing. And what were they fishing? They were fishing bluefin tuna. And at the time, purportedly, there was the best bluefin fishing hole just off the coast of Wedgeport, and it was called the Soldier's Rip. As the name kind of alludes, it was really choppy water, and people would get really seasick. So Arndal and his friends, loving the fishing but hating the seasickness, decided that they should buy a small island close to the rip. So if they were feeling under the weather, they could just go and lick their wounds and not have to come all the way back into port and waste their fishing time. So the thing is this group of guys coming from Washington, they were kind of tuned in politically, and so they decided to have a little bit of yuck and try to set up their own micronation. Now, what is a micronation? It's a whimsy state, it's a vanity state, it's just for fun. Um, but what these guys did is that they made their own coat of arms that you can see on the screen here, which sports a tuna, shockingly, a sheep because the island they bought used to be pasture land, and a lobster in a jaunty little top hat. They also declared their number one export. Want to hazard a guess to what that might have been? It was empty rum bottles. They had their own currency that they called the tunar, and Arndel went so far as to put a phone number in like the consulate directory in Washington that listed the micronation of Outer Baldonia. So just some really, really, really funny guys. Now, what I'm going to read to you on, or just in a moment, is their Declaration of Independence, which sparked a lot of controversy, both locally and internationally. This is the Declaration of Independence from the micronation of Outer Baldonia, published in the early 50s. Let these facts be submitted to a candid world that fishermen are a race alone, that fishermen are endowed with the following inalienable rights: the right of freedom from question, nagging, shaving, interruption. Women, as a side note, women were banned from the island. The only person that was ever granted citizenship, or the only woman who was ever granted citizenship, was Arndel's secretary and given the honorary title of Princess of Outer Baldonia, but she was never actually allowed to step foot on the island. Back to this. So the right of freedom from questions, nagging, shaving, interruption, women, taxes, politics, wars, monologues, cants, and inhibitions. The right to swear, lie, drink, gamble. The right to sleep all day and stay up all night. Now, therefore, we bond ourselves to a new nation, forever independent of all other nations, and do establish on the islands and waters of Outer Bald Island a new government, which shall be forever respected and recognized as the Principality of Outer Baldonia. Now, after this Declaration of Independence, which is a hoot and a half all on its own, came the real story. Yeah, there's more. So this declaration kind of made headlines, and people kind of got interested in this group of guys that had come up with this micronation, this fully fleshed out micronation. And so people were writing kind of silly little articles about it. But somehow this got in the hands of a Russian journalist writing out of Moscow, and she found great fault with this Declaration of Independence. And I will quote what she published. Um, she said that the hateful Arundel set himself the aim of turning his subjects into savages. The master of Baldonia granted his subject the unrestricted right to tell lies, to be rude, the right not to answer questions, the freedom to go unwashed. In a word, the right not to adhere to the ethical and moral laws which have been established by mankind. Now, obviously, this rubbed Arundel and his friends the wrong way. They felt morally abashed. So what they decided to do was to invite a Russian delegation to come visit. Obviously, the Russian delegation declined to visit. So what did Arundel and his buddies do? They issued a declaration of war against Russia. And so on, what is the date? I have it written down here somewhere. On March 9th, 1953, the Baldonian Navy put to sea upon a war footing to attack Russia. Now, what's really funny is they actually signed an alliance or secured an alliance with the nearby Armdale Yacht Club, which promised to help support and protect the island of Outer Baldonia. So it's just so funny. Obviously, they set out on this warpath. They gave up. They came back to shore and probably had a great time. But this just made news headlines around the world for a little bit. And what a fun story. And all this just happened right off the Evangeline coast. So I hope you enjoyed that maritime tall tale. And I can't wait to hear yours. Okay. So thank you for listening to my story. And I just wanted to show you how this website is going to be organized, or this portal, so we can keep sharing all of these good stories. I've put up little images of all of the different trails in Nova Scotia and around the Maritimes. So for example, today we were talking about the Evangeline Trail. And here's Wedgeport here. So all this happened just off the coast. And then under each one of these images of the trails, I've listed different resources and different stories that we can all tell. So this is where I'm hoping you're going to make similar videos and upload them underneath the hashtag of the trail that the story is found on. So this one, for example, you'll be able to find it under hashtag Evangeline Trail. Anyway, thank you so much for listening and for participating. And at the very least, I hope you enjoyed a good story.